Welcome. I'd like to welcome everyone to the second part of the Rule of Law Conference on Afghanistan and Iraq. Let me also say at the University of Pennsylvania, we have a wonderful layout here which allows us to engage in deep-seated academic activities up front and then food in the back, which you can sneak out and replenish the supply at any moment. So I encourage you to do that. I welcome a lot of conferences here at the law school, but it's hard for me to think of a conference that is more important in terms of the issues it's addressing or more timely in what's occurring in the world. At this particular moment in time, we have the ability to look back on several years of legal and military activities in Iraq and Afghanistan and figure out the mistakes and the successes. But at the same time, it's also a moment where we're looking forward because there are a huge number of decisions that need to be made over the next years, both in each of those countries and around the globe. So it really is this perfect moment to see what we need to be doing going forward. And the conference last night and the panel, I think, was perfect for launching this really what was a bracing discussion on all these issues. And as these things go, it was a very broad discussion about what went wrong and more what went wrong and what went right in the two countries. But now I think we have an ability to focus on all of those issues in a lot more detail and sort of put some meat on all of the broad brush observations. I should say that there was enough of a consensus. There's never a consensus in academia, but I think there was a general feeling that the United States activities in both areas of the world tended to be too United States-centric in their views of the legal issues. Now, I want to thank a number of people who are literally responsible for our being here right now. First of all, obviously the National Constitution Center, which we've been in a partnership now with many years. They are formally a museum, we are formally a law school, but we're both deeply interested in questions of constitutional law and public issues of constitutional law. And we partnered on a number of conferences and speeches, and this is just one more example. In particular, I want to thank Hugh Allen, who has really taken the lead there on international efforts. Also, ACE Insurance and Bob Cusimano, their general counsel. This is a company that's has lawyers in 50 different countries around the world. They understand the importance of rule of law, and they are an important financial supporter of this conference. And then finally, last but not least, the executive director of our international programs, Amy Gadsden, who has phenomenal organizational abilities, a passion for these issues, and also had really the wisdom to see close to a year ago how important it would be to put on a conference on this issue. And I can't think of anything that could be more timely than this conference. We really are at an inflection point in both countries, both Iraq and Afghanistan. Both countries are 5 and 6 years out of adopting their constitution. Each country is in the process of maintaining fragile democracies in the face of extremists from almost every direction. And then, of course, 3 weeks ago, President Obama formally announced the ending of American combat activities in Iraq, turning over the country, formally at least, to the Iraqis. Obviously, they face enormous challenges, but it's a new type of challenges than we've seen in the past. The trajectory in Afghanistan is even less clear, I have to say. We've seen the resurgence of the Taliban and their regular reports of corruption and violence. But of course, over the weekend in Afghanistan, they turned to vote for their new parliament. So we are at a moment where they're focusing very deeply on legal issues. At this particular moment, in the past, we've probably looked at military issues more than anything else. Now I think in every way we need to focus on the development of the rule of law and the legal changes that need to be made in both contexts. And of course, this conference is the centerpiece of all of that, especially as we look at the various different historic and cultural factors in each country. Is there a better place to be doing this in Philadelphia and the University of Pennsylvania Law School? Philadelphia is the foundation of the United States democracy and rule of law. And last night, our first panel was held in a room that looks out on Independence Hall. And the National Constitution Center is committed to focusing on these issues going forward. Penn Law School, there is simply not a better place to be a host for these discussions. We have academics who are looking at these questions from the most theoretical way imaginable, but at the same time we have academics who are deeply involved in working through problems of rule of law around the world, leading classes around the globe on rule of law. We have students who are going off to internships and fellowships around the globe, and at the same time we have faculty and students from around the globe coming to Penn Law School to debate these issues. So we look forward to future events here at the law school in coming years to talk about these questions because, as I say, the mixture between theory and practice in an institution like Penn Law is perfect for working through these problems. One last thank you. We have two student journals here, two law reviews at Penn that will be publishing these proceedings, the Journal of International Law and the Journal of Law and Social Change. Things that are said here, papers that are offered here, will obviously be available not only to the participants and on the web, but also published for future generations of scholars. This is clearly just the beginning, but again, as I said before, there's not a more important moment for us to be talking about these questions, and there's not a better group of people to be doing it than the participants in this conference. So thank you all, and let me now turn it over to the impresario of this event, Dean Amy Gadsden. Thank you all.